expecting songs to end. Oh, when are you going to expect a song to end? We don't know. Where's our chat, bro? What the fuck? What's going on with the chat? Chat, where are you? Populate. Oh, there it goes. It's hard to read. It's hard to read. You guys aren't even chatting. Oh, button pusher. Oh, naturally born button pushing son of a gun. Oh, where'd our chat go? Our chat's not refreshing anymore. Our chat's not refreshing manually anymore. It doesn't manually refresh, okay? Guys, boys and girls and ladies and in-betweenies and non-binaries and transitionals. Whoever you are, I don't care. I don't care unless you're a creepy vampire fuck. Then I care. Then I don't like you. You know, we don't like them. We don't like them creepy vampires. We just don't like it. Okay. We like shows about creepy vampires, but we don't like actual ones. Okay. You know. It's like Shark Week, okay? We like watching Shark Week. We don't like being on Shark Week. You know what I'm saying? And I just got like 14 emails because it must be... What the fuck did I just get charged for? $103. Oh, okay. I guess you got to pay for gas, right? You get that natural gas funk all up in your house. And you gotta pay for you gotta pay for it. If you get that natural gas all up in your house, you know, que pedo. You gotta pay for it, right? That's how it goes. What's up, everybody? It is Monday, the 5th of May 5th, 2025. And the goddamn dehumidifier turned on. Turning it off. I don't care if it's the beginning of the show. I'm turning it off. Okay. I'm turning it off, okay? We had to do it. We had to go over there, and we had to turn it off. You know what I'm saying? It's driving me nuts doing a live stream, and my stupid, loud-ass dehumidifier turns on. I don't have a quiet dehumidifier, guys, because I have an old crappy one that I got in trade. I traded for it a while back. somebody needed some work done, and my wife negotiated that I would get a dehumidifier instead of cash. I don't like the idea, but it is what it is. All right. Big shout out to Witchy Cat, Frank Dominguez, Zip Gun, Joel G, all in the chat early. And a shout out to Skog Shrimp and stuff, who says, stopping by to say hi. I'm on second shift now. So what is second shift? What's second shift in the East Coast? Is what hours? Are you 3 to 11? Are you 4 to midnight? Or are you 2 to 10? Or are you 5 p.m. to 1 a.m.? Or are you, what is it? I see, that's the thing. I never know what swing shift is because everybody's got a different one. One of the 24-hour places I worked at, the swing shift was actually 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. And that's different than everybody else's. That's different. That'd be different than everybody else's. You know, I was having a conversation this last weekend with a friend of mine, and we were discussing the ups and downs and the ins and outs of potentially having stayed at certain jobs, right? If you had stayed at a certain job, like where would you be at right now? Kind of thing. And so I looked up one of the old companies that I worked for, and they're still doing the same thing. They're still doing the same thing here. 20 years later, they're still doing the same thing. So I could potentially still be working in the same building had I stayed. And the reason I say that is because their shifts were weird. We didn't have a swing shift. We didn't have a swing shift. We had no need for a swing shift because you would come in and you would work 5 p.m. to 6 a.m. and the day guys would come in and they would work 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. So there was like a 1 hour overlap of like supposedly no one was doing anything. But the office people worked 9 to 5. The office people was working a 9 to 5, baby. They'd be coming in at 8:30 and they'd be rolling right on out of there at 5 o'clock sharp. You know what I mean? They're out. They got to go. There's no overtime for the office people. They're not doing it. Second shift for you is 2:30 to 11. It'll be 3 to 11:30 eventually. I came back so I could help them start this up. Leaving and coming back for this literally doubled my pay here in 3 years. Well, that's badass. I like that. I like that aspect. I don't know about working the swing shift. Working swing shift can be hard because you run the tendency of it's really easy to like overexhaust yourself. And you go like, yeah, but it's only an 8-hour day, which obviously an 8-hour day is enough to work, right? But what it will end up happening is the birds will be chirping. It'll be a beautiful day. And you'll wake up like, oh, I got to get going with my day. Why not? I feel fine. I feel good. Let me go bust a quick shower. Have a cup of coffee. I'm going to get rocking and rolling. I'm going to go do some stuff before work. And then you end up working on stuff all day long, and then you head off to your traditional job at for you 3 o'clock. So you get there a little early, get there about 2:30. Rolling around, getting ready to punch the old clockaroonie, as it were, and then you get in there, and then you work, and then you get off at 11, and then you're like zazzed up. You got the razzmatazz, right? Because you've been working, you've been running around doing stuff, and you're like, I can't go to bed right away. I can't go to bed right away. I'm wide awake. I just got done with work. And so then you're like, well, everyone else is asleep, so I guess I'll like watch a movie or something. Next thing you know, it's like 3:45 in the morning, and you're like, oh shit. And then you go to bed. And then the next day you wake up because the birds are chirping again. you're like, oh, cock-a-doodle-doo, baby, time to get up. And then you just keep going on that cycle, and you start to realize that you're only sleeping like 4 hours a day or something. And then you end up looking like this. Right here, presented before you today. On May the 5th, the day after May the 4th. I don't even know what the title was today. May the 5th be with us, because we need the 5th, we need the 4th, we need everything we can. We need everything we can at this point. And I do realize we have reached, which of the DEF CON is the more, isn't it DEF CON 1? Or is DEF CON 1 chill? DEF CON scale. Yeah, DEF CON 1 is the most severe, right? Look at this. Why the fuck is this like the worst? Stop doing this. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. That's like the worst scaled image I've seen in a long time. Looks like it was like somebody make this on an Atari or something. I don't even know. There we go. Why not have pixels? I guess I don't know. Maybe they're saving. I'm guessing those guys must be saving on hosting cost. You know, because their image has 4 pixels in it. This one's in French. That doesn't help anybody. Nobody really speaks French. Shout out to the Quebecois. I say shout out to the Quebecois because one of the prettiest ladies I ever spent time with in my youth was a Quebecois. So we would always be saying Quebecois, you know? Because we're guys, you know what I mean? Because we dudes. You ever been really mad at like just trying to look at a fucking image? You ever been really mad before? Because I'm raising in DEF CON. My DEF CON scale is raising. Okay, we'll go with the shitty image. DEF CON 5, the lowest state. Just relax, just chill. DEF CON 4, Intel watch increased, security measures strengthened. DEF CON 3, force readiness increased above normal levels. DEF CON 2, nuclear war. So DEF CON 2 is nuclear or near nuclear war. DEF CON 1 is nuclear war imminent. Right? Yeah. So yeah, it's fuckville. We're at DEF CON 1. I think we've reached critical. What the hell is going on here? Can I you can't find images. You can't find images on the internet anymore. You can't do it. It's bad. The internet's bad. You can't do it anymore. You can't just look up an image and post it on your stream. You just can't do it anymore. It's fucked. We've reached DEF CON 1, and I say this because I talked to my dad, the U.S. Navy veteran, a veteran of foreign war, right? A guy who served his country and then served his community for the rest of his life, who is still alive. He's not dead yet. Not yet, boys and girls. He's not dead yet. I talked to him this weekend for about 2 hours. I realize we're getting close to DEF CON 1 because my father raised in a religious family, probably considered himself a moderate, I would say, I guess, a moderate conservative or something like that, or whatever. It's hard to say. Is now personally attending the Trump administration protests. Okay, he's attending them in person. So we may or may not be reaching critical mass here fairly soon, folks. You know, a guy and my dad who signed up to be in the U.S. military, right? To do all the stuff you're supposed to do. As far as patriotism actually goes, as opposed to the performative patriotism, as it were, right? You know, my dad didn't say, "Oh, I've got shin splints. Oh, I've got this. Oh, I've got that." Nope. He done did it. He done did it. He done went. To a lot of personal expense, you know. And that guy is now at the ripe old age of younger than Donald Trump, but still old. Is beginning to attend, of all the people in the world, he's beginning to attend the anti-Trump rallies, which is wild. Dark Lumen says, wait, this is live? Yes, that's how live streams work. Yes, Dark Lumen, that's how live streams work. Live streams. That's how they operate. I mean, technically, I'm like 15 seconds or whatever ahead of you. Like, I'm time traveling. You don't, I mean, if I have to explain time traveling to you, like, who are we, right? You know what I mean? Like, what kind of, where are we, right, in the world? I get the easy way to explain it is like, it's delayed a little bit. So if my pants fell off or something, and you know, you had to like, oh, kill the stream so we don't get banned from YouTube or whatever, then I'd have time to do that. Although if something wild was happening, I don't even think I would really have the chance to actually like, oh, stop the stream. You know, I wouldn't even have time to do it. Oh my God, we have a caller. Caller number 1. What's your problem? Oh, you're streaming to me.
No, I wasn't. I thought I was, but I hit the wrong button.
Oh, you were for a second. I was like, oh.
No, I won't do that. I will not inflict that upon you at this time.
I mean, you can. I'm not gonna put it on YouTube because I don't trust you, caller. You might.
I don't.
Your
trust
pants
me
might fall off.
I'd have to be wearing pants for that to occur. But
oh
sure.
Shit! There it is.
I'm in a skirt. I'm in a skirt.
No, just you can play into it. Like what? No one's gonna actually verify whether you're wearing pants or not. They don't even know where you are.
Some of them do.
To be clear, people that have your address don't even know where you are.
Fair. That is true.
You're like, drive around out here and look for the hawk's nest and
I'm the third brown cow from the left.
Cow. There's a cow over there. Which cow is it today? Yeah.
Yes, they came back Friday. So.
Oh, the cows are back.
Uh-huh.
This seems early. Seems early for the cows.
I thought it was late. I expected them in April. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I guess technically, right.
Anyway.
They got to try to get those spring shoots before they get a chance to
become straw.
Become anything actually edible, I guess, right? What the fuck is going on over here? Okay, there. No, it's working. All right. I updated my streaming program and it completely freaked out right before the stream.
Well planned.
I had to do a bunch of hard resets and screaming. You know, when you get to the point when computer, you know, when you revert into an 80-year-old fucking sundowning president idiot that's like everything's computer, right?
Right.
You know, when you revert to that and you start screaming at the computer. I was doing that for a second earlier before the stream. I used up all my adrenaline now. Now I'm real tired. We're gonna take a nap. Okay.
Excellent. The rest of the stream's just going to be the be right back waterfall with the jazz while you snooze.
Be right back. No, I'll just nap on stream like what's his name?
I like Graham.
Yeah, like Graham.
We'll be able to compare snores.
Just awesome. Napping out for a good solid 8 hours on stream.
That would be so fucking hilarious.
Down in beers. Down in beers. I would say, you know, I mean 15 years ago or something, I might have done something like that.
Fair.
I could see how people would get there. Fish Tropic Canada is here. What's up, Fish Tropic? I'm fucking stoked. The Canadians came through. The Canadians and the Australians are rebelling against the idea that Rupert Murdoch actually knows anything.
So exciting.
It's very exciting. It's very wild that oh God, I'm going to get their names wrong. So let's look them up before I fuck up my potential new future home, right?
Gonna run away to New Zealand this week.
Mark Carney and Le Pen was the other guy, right? Le Pen. Who's the? No, Poilievre. Pierre Poilievre, who, by the way, I listened to 3 like long ass interviews with Poilievre, and I was like, this guy is candidate for jail immediately. was my thought. Now,
right,
before anybody freaks out and pisses their pants, I'm not in charge of any jails, okay, and I'm not in charge of any police force that could arrest anybody in Canada. But my thought was, holy shit, this guy probably belongs in jail. Now, I listened to only 2 long form interviews with Mark Carney, and I was like, this guy seems like he might need to be on probation for all of this bank stuff he's been doing all of his life. But he seems like he should just be on probation just from, just in case he starts committing crimes, we get to send him to jail for longer. But between the 2 candidates, the guy who, Poilievre, I'm sure his name is French and I say it wrong, but I don't speak French, so calm down.
Yes.
Was like, he basically was warming up his knee pads so he could just gargle Trump's balls for the next 4 years, and probably cede Canada to the United States, and probably has already drawn up the paperwork to do it. You know, he probably already has it all printed out and ready to go. So hats off to electing Mark Carney, who just seems like a reasonable guy. But as always, I gotta get the skeptical eye on the guy who was running big bank systems, you know.
Right.
Dark Lumen says, do you think if we were going to have celebrity presidents, Steve Kerr would be the best? Celebrity presidents. This is Steve Kerr, the basketball player. He was the point guard for the Utah Jazz, and now he's the coach for the Golden State Warriors, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't argue with Steve Kerr being president necessarily, but we would definitely have to see him on the campaign trail for a little while and like what he was up to. But like, I think he's got a pretty good gig already, right? I mean,
certainly pays better.
yeah, I mean, I wonder what his salary is like, because he's won some championships already. Or did he just win a championship? Warriors coach Steve Kerr speaks with the media after Golden State's 103-89 Game 7 victory over the Houston Rockets. I haven't been following the NBA playoffs. I normally don't follow NBA regular season, and like I'll watch the playoffs if something is polarizing to me. Like if something is polarizing to me, I'll watch the playoffs. I just did not find that this year in the NBA. Did they just win the championship, or what did they win? They won Game 7, but Game 7 of what? Was that the finals? Or was it the semifinals or the quarterfinals or the what?
I am not a basketball fan, so I could not tell you.
Did they win the championship? This article assumes that we know which Game 7 it was. Okay, hold on.
Says
NBA.
It just won first round of playoffs. Thank you, Lumen.
Let's check the brackets here. This is the first round?
That's what Lumen's
Oh,
on.
that was the first round. Okay, I was like, I didn't think that was the final round, right? Yeah, so I'm like, okay. And, you know, and especially like being a guy from Washington State, and if I say Washington State, people are like, what? And Seattle, and they go, oh, okay, you lib cuck, you know, whatever. I'm from the Seattle area, so like when we lost the Seattle Supersonics, you know, it's really hard to follow. It's really hard to follow NBA when you don't have a home team anymore, and it's like there's no way after a lifetime of being a Sonics fan that like I was suddenly going to become a Trailblazers fan. Like, what? We're not going to become a Portland Trailblazers fan. And by the way, I don't even know how they managed to get the Sonics away, and Portland still has a team. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, the Celtics won last year, right? Celtics, Nuggets, Warriors. Warriors. Yeah, the Warriors' big run was 2015 to 2018, but then they won again in 2021-22. And they're in the playoffs again, so who knows? I mean, you know, we'll see. The thing is, like, I've seen Steve Kerr on some stuff. I've listened to some things with him. The reality is that, like, if you said, oh, Steve Kerr is suddenly the president, I would be like, okay, well, let's see what this guy's up to. But definitely an upgrade from a brain-dead buffoon, right? Like, just an absolute abject buffoon who is being, like, tricked by a bunch of neo-Nazi Christian American religious fanatics, right? Which, by the way, like, people are like, oh, quit saying that they're neo-Nazis. It's like, they are. Like, they're white supremacist fucking maniacs that want white people to run the world. Like, there's just no other way to describe it at this point. And people. What's that?
I said, and only certain white people at that.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, you have guys, you have a South African apartheid billionaire who has admittedly been on my radar for the last 10 years of all the insane fucking nonsense that guy's been up to. Sieg Heiling at inaugural events, right? And for some reason, a bunch of people trying to like somehow be like, well, he wasn't doing a Sieg Heil. There's a spider in here, and he's releasing spider webs that are flying around over here. So that's what I'm waving my arm around. And they're glinting in the light. And so I'm trying to capture. I'm trying to capture all the spider webs. But yeah, and then you go, okay, well, yeah, I mean, maybe Elon Musk is just like, I don't know, maybe he's mistaken or something. Like he's not mistaken. Now, first and foremost, I'll say he's not a dumb guy. He's not abjectly dumb, but he's not a smart guy either, right? Let's be clear about that. Let's be 100% clear that Elon Musk is not a smart guy. He's not a dumb guy. He's clearly 103 IQ type character who has just been muddling around and claiming the inventions of others as his own personal success, considering he started out as a rich kid also. And I've done other live streams talking about this shit where it's like, oh, this guy starts out with a bunch of money, but then we're supposed to act like he started everything in his garage, right? Like he just started his business in his garage, and it's like, we hear this about Bezos all the time. Bezos is a perfect example, right? Oh, he just started his little book company in his garage. He started out with over 300 grand, 30 years ago? So,
right. When that meant that was a good amount of money. I mean, it still is, but not in comparison to today's dollar.
Yeah. So if you do the purchasing power of $300,000 30 years ago, that's the equivalent of $683,000 in today's money. And I'm gonna be I'm gonna be brutally honest with you guys. If somebody gave me 700 grand to start my business, I guarantee you, it would not be what it is right now with just one. What's that?
A bookstore out of your garage?
No, I mean I have a business. I'm saying that like my business wouldn't be what it is right now with just one guy working, right, and doing stuff. It would be much larger, and then people could go like, well, he just started in his garage, and look at that, he built a company from the ground up with his moxie, right? And it's like, yeah, I also started with $700,000,
Where does one keep one's moxie? Anyway.
What's that?
I said, where does one keep one's moxie? Anyway.
I keep it in my cockles.
Do you now?
I do.
All righty then.
That's medical fact. That's where you keep your moxie. It gets released. It's time released from my cockles down low. It helps me grow muscles and mitigate my
Talked yourself into a corner now, haven't you?
It's called testosterone. That's where you keep it. And ladies have estrogen. That's your moxie. That's where it comes from. That's why the all the weird air quote comedians these days go on their podcast and they talk about how they're on TRT, which is testosterone replacement therapy, which is AKA just a different form of steroids essentially, and hormone replacement. And they're taking IVs. Like, can you believe, like, as somebody who's trying to claim to be like an average person, and you're like, how many IVs are you on a week? And I'm saying intravenous fluids, like put in by a nurse into your veins, right? And it's like, oh, just 3 times a week. Like, you're just getting an IV 3 times a week when you could literally drink some water. Right?
Right.
You got to be kidding me, man. It's like these people that are supposedly comedians, right? Like Bert Kreischer is a perfect example.
Carrot Top.
Carrot Top actually is a comedian. I mean, I believe it or not, man, if you've ever seen a show, like the guy actually is a comedian and he actually is funny. I know the joke for years is that like there's just no way that Carrot Top's a comedian because he's a prop comic, but his show, like, it holds up. It's crazy. I mean, it makes no sense, right? Because people always like, oh, Carrot Top, but you're like, he got that spot in Las Vegas where he does his Vegas show. I think he's been, has he been doing it for 30 years now or something? I forget.
Like that, yeah. It's been pretty close. I was thinking more of his crazy physical, he's always worked out to the point of looking like a miniature redheaded Arnold.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing. So look at it this way. Like, here's the difference. Bert Kreischer, right? He travels all around and people buy a ticket, right? And they go to his show because they saw him on Joe Rogan or they saw him on the Travel Channel, or they saw him on Instagram, or they saw him on whatever, right? Like the algorithms favor this guy super hard, right? And is he a comedian? Yes. Is he a very good comedian? No. But they travel around, they go to a city, they do a show, right? He makes a shitload of money. Who, by the way, Joe Rogan has constantly been arguing against the fact that, like, Hillary Clinton would go do a speaking event and get paid $250,000 for it. How much do you think a comedian gets paid for selling out 40,000 seats at a stadium? Right. Do you think it's $250,000? Because it sure as shit ain't. It is a lot more than that. Go up and tell some dick jokes for 45 minutes, right? And in Bert Kreischer's example is he goes up there and takes his shirt off and talks about how he's fat and his kids are not smart, and then leaves the stage half drunk in 45 minutes, doing a 45-minute set. Tells the same joke he's been telling for 20 years. And Carrot Top is only in one city, right?
That's true.
Like, people have to go see Carrot Top, and has somehow been successfully doing it for 30 years, as verified on casino.org. He has extended his contract through 2026 and has been performing consistently for 30 years. And people have to go to Vegas to see him. Right?
That's crazy.
And you're like, somehow that dude has been crushing it, and people have to go see him. Oh, sorry. He started in Las Vegas in 2005. So it's been 20 years in Vegas, but 30 years altogether. And it's a 90-minute show, apparently.
Wow.
And there's no intermission. And he's been successfully doing that for 20 years, right? And you're like, there's a big difference there, right? Like, to me, there's a huge difference in the fact that, like, he's only in one town and people have to go see him. You know what I mean? Like, right. And he's successfully doing it. I mean, it's like, even from the standpoint of, like, Celine Dion was doing it and got cancer and had to stop, right?
Right. Cher, Celine. Yeah.
Like, he's outlasted them. And yeah. I don't know if Celine Dion, is she back in
I don't know. She's one of the 2 human swizzle sticks.
A swizzle stick? What the fuck does that mean?
She and Katy Perry, they have these little teeny tiny skinny bodies and these big heads. They look like swizzle sticks.
Oh, all actors are like that, by the way. Did you know that?
Yeah. It's just really demonstrative in those two because of the way they slick their hair back.
Katy Perry's got a body on her, so I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm saying all actors have that. They have the oversized head thing.
Okay.
You don't realize it until you go on set and you see the actors and realize that they're like 5'6.5" with a fucking
giant head.
And a fucking giant head, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? And then you come to realize it's like, so the reason behind it, it shows up really well on film.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying, like, it. Okay. Well, I'm saying that it does, and so the people that, so like cinematographers, all those guys, like that's what they're looking for.
Big heads. Bobblehead humans.
It's what they're looking for, and one of the big reasons for that. Where is that? Let me see if I can't find this. I saw a perfect article about it the other day.
Dark Lumen thinks you're telling tales.
What's that?
Dark Lumen thinks you're telling tales.
How tall is Tom Cruise?
5'7", 5'8", I think.
What size hat does he wear?
I have no clue. I couldn't tell you hat sizes.
And he's a vampire.
Not a very good one.
He's
The
a
guy that
vampire. He's a vampire. Here we
the
go.
guy that they have in the series is much better than his Lestat ever was.
Let me see this. Let me see if I can actually see. Here we go. Actually, here's a great. So F Stoppers has a big article on this, and I want to show you. I'm not trying to steal from these guys, but they actually have. They have this rotating image of this guy right here.
And I bet it's like high quality because it's F Stoppers and not a
It's
DEFCON
it's extraordinarily high quality, but it shows you focal length, right?
Okay.
It shows you focal length and like how this guy's body and head are distorted because of the focal length of the camera, right? So the lenses that are stacked on the camera. You keep saying okay, but I'm like, when it comes to you're gonna shoot a $300 or $400 million Marvel movie, right? Which, by the way, that's where the big money is, right? Like those big productions,
Right.
like Scarlett Johansson will go do a independent film and make $600,000, which is a lot of money for you and I. But when she goes and does a Marvel film and then has to sue Disney for $65 million or whatever the fuck it was, right? You're like, there's a big difference in the numbers there. So like what I'm saying is that most of the big actors that exist have that lollipop thing. They have a big head.
Yeah.
And it's, as you watch the focal length here, you can see why. So
yeah.
What ends up happening is as the focal length is farther away, your head will appear thinner and like more like pronounced, I guess. Like your features seem more definitive and pronounced and whatnot. And actually your body looks bigger at that focal length, right? Because your body is going to be farther off in the optical focal range of the lens itself. So that's why, like, oh, why would you want some super skinny person with a giant head? That's why. Because it looks weird on film when you don't have that. Because it makes your head look small and your body look even bigger, right? Even though you have a normal proportion head and body situation when somebody just looks at you when you're standing at the grocery market, right? Like, and so a lot of it has to do with like the cinematographers are looking for a certain body head ratio when it comes to putting a person together. And so like Willem Dafoe is a perfect example. Tiny body, apparently a huge dick that is scares people. Like just it apparently scared people from seeing it. What?
All right.
No, there's a big story about it. So when he did the lighthouse, they actually had to have a stunt wiener person.
A smaller stunt wiener?
Yeah. Seriously.
Awesome.
Because he was like, yeah, I'll totally do the nude scene. That's fine. I'll totally do that. And it apparently scared people on set.
Wow.
No, I'm serious. Like it freaked out people on set, and then they were like, no one will believe that this is actually his situation.
Where were you when we were casting for Boogie Nights? That's funny.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But he also has the lollipop head. He has that. Like Willem Dafoe is a perfect example. And people would go like, why is? I mean, he's a terrific actor. He seems like he's an amazing guy. So there's all that. But like, with how psychotic his face looks, right? Like, he does look. He looks like the Hobgoblin without makeup. You know what I'm saying? And
he's.
But that's one of those things is that like when he's on film, it's like the proportions are perfect. So it's like at some point the production staff, right, the people further down with the director and everybody else are going like, yeah, but look at this shot. This shot looks amazing. Like, you know, and those things do come into play like in a production. I know that it's probably too much balls and strikes for people, but that's the reality. And how did we get on that? It was like the whole point is that Carrot Top's a real comedian, right? And Bert Kreischer sucks, and the evidence of that would be that everybody travels to see Carrot Top, and he's outlasted even Celine Dion and Prince and Elton John and how many more people Barry Manilow. He's outlasted a lot of talented people, and he's still getting hella paid. Dark Lumen says so they get their heads enlarged. No, they're just, you'll meet people like this. You'll meet people like this if you start looking for it. If you start paying attention, you'll see people with those proportions around. They're just not Brad Pitt or whatever, right? They're not Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt or Scarlett Johansson or whatever, go down the list. But like a good example of somebody who like isn't the correct proportion would be like Samuel L. Jackson. He has normal size head, normal body. So if you watch how they shoot Samuel L. Jackson, it's to compensate for that. Good example of a guy who just has normal situation going on.
Right.
And especially if you watch films and stuff like that, and sort of with a critical, not a critical eye of being shitty about watching, but if you're have a critical eye of like how things are being framed and what's going on, you'll start to notice that there are actors that have normal head, normal body, but they have to shoot them different. They really do. They really have to position the camera and all that kind of stuff. They have to be filmed different. It's the same thing like when Tom Cruise has a scene where he was kissing his ex-wife, who was much taller than him. He would actually, they would actually set up a walkway, right? So if there was like a walking shot, they would set up a walkway that he would just walk in normal shoes on a walkway, like next to her, so that he would be taller than her, and she would just be in flats walking on the ground to go. And you're like, do they go to those lengths? And you're like, yep, they have to go to those lengths in order to make it a decent. You have to go to those lengths in the hopes that you would make an average movie. That's kind of the thing, right?
Right.
Let alone it'd be a really, really good one. Corvus, being you're a really good aquarium plant guy, my 6-foot build my LED light took a shit. Would you suggest on replacing it? I thought 236-inch Fluval 3.0. I mean, realistically, like if I had the easiest light to recommend, it is the Fluval 3.0. I mean, realistically, because I know for a fact those lights work. I know for a fact that you can order them. I know for a fact that like Fluval isn't a shitbag company. Like they're a good company. They're doing good work, and those lights work. You know what I mean? So it is fairly easy to do that. Now, there are a bunch of different lights on the market now, and for me to say the Fluval 3.0 is the best is probably inaccurate. And the reason for that is that I haven't been desperately researching lights in the last like 2 years. So I'm guessing that there's probably some competitive there's probably some really competitive lights out there that are pretty good. And I know that I was talking with Tom Barr the other day, like 6 months ago, and he was saying like, hey, try this light. Let me see if I can't find it. In the meantime, and I'm really hoping that like Fluval comes out with a version 4. I'm really hoping that they do at some point, because it was a lot of years ago that I actually I had lunch with the guy who made the Fluval. He works at he works for Hagen and Fluval, and he was the guy who designed the Fluval 3.0 light. And he was saying that we're just going to keep continuing to design stuff, and once they get something that is fully like ready to go, then they'll release it. But in the meantime, my advice is that this is the easiest light to just put it in, program it, and get it going. But I always have to say, like, we are technically sponsored by Amazon, even though we don't sponsor Amazon, and they only give us money. We haven't. Okay, to be clear, I'm an Amazon affiliate. If you go through Amazon, I get a commission. If you find it cheaper somewhere else, just buy it over there. But if you go through the link, it'll take you straight to Amazon, and you could buy it there, and we'll get a commission. But if you want to support wherever else, feel free to do that. I don't care if people use Amazon or not. But if you're going to, at least let us get the commission, because last month we managed to. Hold on, I gotta look it up. I had it open and then it refreshed to this month, so I have to open it up and change it. It auto refreshed. Why isn't there a last month button? They're just really.
Like
there really should
drop-downs.
be. There really should be a last month button. There we go. So last month we managed to scrape together $22.62 worth of Amazon commissions, because somebody came in hot at the end of the month. I don't know what they were buying. Let's take a look. We don't know who they are. So to be clear, I have no idea who ordered anything unless somebody actually tells me that was me, right? Which happens to be the case with the refrigerator in here, because Witchy Cat told me it was her. So I was like, okay. We got a solar panel connector. We got a butane fuel canister. We got an Aquacera replacement ceramic candle filter. We got a clear housing for a hydronics. Yeah, well, a lot of these are all just from YouTube videos. So we got a J-Bow. Somebody ordered a fucking sweet ass pump. I actually have 2 of these pumps sitting over here for a system. For a system that I'll be doing very soon. As soon as I'm done with this house project, I'm going to finish this project, which I really hope to make some videos out of it, but it's the editing time. And I've mentioned this a million times before. People are like, where's the new videos about fish tanks or whatever? And I'm like, I have filmed a ton of shit. I never have time to edit anything. And every day that I set aside to try and edit something comes up. And then I can't do it. I have to go. And it's been, I don't know. It's been consistently happening now for a year and a half. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm trying to fight it, but it's just seems impossible at this point. So, at some point fingers crossed, I run into somebody who wants to edit YouTube videos. I don't know. One of these days I'm going to run into somebody who's like, hey,
My life's a dream.
I want to edit YouTube videos for you. And I'll be like, fucking word, dude. And I thought I found somebody who wanted to edit YouTube videos a while ago. But they didn't really want to do that. They didn't. They wanted to do something else. Dark Lumen says TRT is gender affirming care. And that's true. It actually is. Yeah. Actors are such tiny, tiny people. If I hug them, they will break. I don't know if you hug them, they will break, but maybe if you like squeeze them until they broke, then they might. But yeah, I think you can hug them. I think they're huggable. I mean, if you have permission to hug them. He has good politics, using his platform against Trump and runs the championship team. Oh yeah, we were talking about Steve Kerr. Yeah, I mean, to circle back to the Steve Kerr conversation, basketball player, seems like a relatively interesting guy. He's very intelligent. He seems very grounded the times that I heard him talking about stuff. He seems inspirational to a point of, obviously he inspires basketball teams to win championships. But, I mean, I guess start a political campaign and then I'll figure it out, right? Like, here's the problem, that a lot of people think that, no, hold on. Let me start over here. A lot of people in America are playing a are playing a game with politics to the point that They're like, I don't like this person, so I'm not going to vote for them, right? They're playing a personality over politics game, which is incredibly misinformed, an incredibly dangerous game to play, because if you are playing that game, you accidentally end up voting for somebody who has zero intention on following through on the things that they likely promised to you. They generally have zero intention of actually doing work, you know? And so if Steve Kerr was going to run for office somewhere, I would do the thing that I normally do. What is this person's platform? What are they running on? What do they plan to do? What are they saying that they intend to do? What is their history look like? Do they have 3 armed robberies, a murder, and a sexual assault in their history? Like, I'm probably not going to vote for that guy, right, or girl. So, you know, while character comes in, it's definitely not the first and foremost thing, right? You could say Mitch McConnell has incredible character, right? But nobody's mad that he's polite or anything like that. I'm mad because his politics are incredibly disgusting, and the job that you're hiring him for is politics. So that's my first and foremost thing. I fundamentally disagree with the proposed plan from the Trump administration from the get-go, right? Like, Trump might be the nicest guy, and he might be able to convince Bill Maher, who, by the way, is not a liberal. He's a Republican and has been his entire life, and he's just been walking around telling people he isn't. Where you're like, so you don't like religion, but that's the only thing that makes you not Republican, then you're a Republican, right? And Bill Maher's been doing that for the last fucking 60 years or 70 years or 900 years, however old that ancient Republican fucking freak is. You know, I mean, just from the standpoint of like, Bill Maher hates children. Bill Maher, like, refuses to have children. He thinks they're disgusting. He dates 20-year-old aspiring actresses. It's like everything here says Republican, right?
Yep.
What was
What was that?
I'm trying to remember can't remember his ex-girlfriend. She went on to do a sports show.
I don't think I knew that he was dating anybody seriously enough to call a girlfriend, so I'm no help there.
Yeah, I'll figure it out one of these days. He's a serial monogamist, right? Like, so he like super dates these young gals for like 6 months. And it's because it's like the casting couch, right? Like, oh, if I date Bill Maher for 6 months and blow this old guy, then I'll get opportunities to be acting, right? Like, that's basically all it is. And so it's like,
Right.
To circle back to my point is that Bill Maher goes to dinner at the White House with Trump and then goes on a fucking 20-minute tirade on his Fox adjacent fucking HBO show, whatever the fuck nonsense that show is every week. And then goes on a 20-minute tirade about how, like, oh, Trump's just like a regular guy and he's super nice behind the scenes and this and that. And you're like, he just shipped people off to their death without even fucking a day in court. who gives a shit if he was nice to you for a couple of hours, right? And I just cannot get, my brain cannot get around that people in the year 2025 are so categorically fucking brain dead that they'll go, oh, that guy, he was on a thing for 2 hours with, he talked to Joe Rogan for 2 hours and he didn't say he wanted to ship all the black people back to Africa. So he's obviously like a normal guy, right? And you're like, they have communications training. They get training from people on how to do these events for a couple of hours.
Yep.
Anyone out there, including Ted Bundy, could convince people that he was completely normal for a couple of hours. And then it gets dark out, and there happens to be some nurses sleeping in their house, right? And all he has to do is go in there and dismember them, right?
Right.
And you're like, but then Ted Bundy would go sit in court and people would be like, look, he's just such a normal guy when he's here in court, right?
He looks like everybody else.
But then when he would be heavily questioned by the fucking doctors and scientists who were trying to figure out what was wrong with this guy's brain, they would eventually wear him down and he would start talking about the insane shit that was going on in his head. He said he was constantly hearing the voice of some lady who he had decapitated and buried her head in a hole on the side of a road. Right? But then he would go into court and act like a normal guy. And, oh, look, he's smiling. And he has like a positive affectation here in court. Right? Do you imagine that Ted Bundy is the only guy ever who could do that?
Not even a little.
You gotta fucking be kidding me, you know? Like, for people like Bill Maher to go for the last 10 fucking years be covering the atrocities and all of the people associated with this insane administration, like Stephen Miller, who is obviously related to Dracula, okay? And who clearly is doing the worm tongue thing from the Lord of the Rings. If you guys remember the Lord of the Rings, worm tongue fucking ruined the King of Rohan, whatever the fuck his name was, King of Rohan guy. And that's obvious what is happening because I saw where they were reporting, the reporters were in the Oval Office the other day, and they were asking Donald Trump, hey, are you going to send this guy back? The Supreme Court ruled 9-0 that you should facilitate bringing this guy back. Donald Trump, in his old senility, turned around to Stephen Miller and was like, did the Supreme Court rule on that? And Stephen Miller goes, the Supreme Court ruled 9-0 in our favor that he should not come back. And then he just drags his old head back to the reporter. Oh, okay. Well, that's what they said. They ruled in our favor, right? And you're like, right? Oh, he's like a totally nice guy behind the scenes. Like, okay. Like, oh, so you mean the rapist is nice to you? Oh, okay.
Right.
Jesus. Like, what are we talking about here?
Not grab your package. Bummer. Yeah.
Recap Harris says, I have to be careful. I've met enough of them to know. And yes, with permission, they asked to hug me. I'm just pointing out to YouTube that just get permission before you hug a celebrity. Get consent, okay? Don't get Ted Bundy on him. That's all I'm saying. Don't do that. Bruce D says, hey, Joel, recently bought a 44-inch trigger system sump in preparation to set up a discus tank. Got a pretty good deal on a used 4-foot-long, 140-gallon, 29-high, 24 wide drill tank. Is a 6-foot tank better for discus? I mean, let me put it this way. If you have discus, there's two things you can do. Big tank with a reasonable amount of water changes. You do tiny tank with shitloads of water changes. And I'm talking daily. You can do a tiny tank with daily water changes, and you'll be fine. In my experience, height was generally more important for discus than length. But that said, you have a 29-inch high, 24-inch wide, 6-foot long. That is fine. That is plenty tank. Just don't put 50 discus in it and then be like, well, I don't understand what happened. It's going to come down to stocking, right? And not Ted Bundy style stocking. I'm talking about like stocking the shelves, right? Don't put 100 fish in there and then be like, I don't know what happened. I would start with a tank that size. I'd be at the 12 to 15, something like that. They're going to grow a lot, especially when they start out small. Discus grow probably more than most people expect, even if you are, fairly knowledgeable. You'll be surprised. Like, oh, wait a minute, this discus got this big, because there's no really like stunting their growth, as it were, right? Like there isn't necessarily a discus out there where you're like, oh, they're gonna stay small.
There's no pygmy discus.
There are, but like there's just not a guarantee, right? And the worst thing that you'd want to do is have, say, 25 fish, and they grow a lot bigger, and you have to feed a lot more than you were sort of expecting. Otherwise, some of them are going to die, and then you have to like get rid of some of them. Like that sucks. Right. That's like a total bummer, and you just like setting yourself up for a bummer of like, well, I got to sell 5 of my discus, and like nobody's buying them, and oh shit, I'm gonna end up having to give them to somebody, and it's just a bummer, and ain't nobody want to do that.
12 to 15 is a nice little float, though.
I mean, they're not zipping and bopping around. You know what I mean? Like they just don't. So they occupy a good amount of visual space. It's one of the reasons why people like discus so much, is because they really occupy a lot of visual space. They're a beautiful fish. I mean, even shitty discus are beautiful, right? Like when they're healthy, you can just get like wild caught browns and they're healthy, and you're like, well, that is a cool looking fish. I mean, it really is. They're really beautiful. So better than angels, in my opinion, for sure. But yeah. So I mean, that tank is sizable enough. Just don't overstock it, and then you'll be fine. Recap Harris says, in Canada, the leader of the Conservatives railed against career politicians in the past and against an MP having their seat handed to them. He lost his seat in the Carleton place, and now an MP in another province is giving up his seat so the leader who lost theirs can get their seat back. Total hypocrites. Yeah, I did see that. I'm not... To be clear, I'm not 100% familiar with the ins and outs of the Canadian government, but I did see the story about how the leader of the Conservatives had lost his seat, and they essentially, somebody was sacrificing their spot so that he could stay in, which is patently absurd. I mean, I really feel like if you lose your seat, just get the fuck out, but
yeah.
It is what it is, and parliamentary system is different than in the U.S. So, it's always kind of a reminder of like parliamentary systems have a lot of benefits to them that I prefer over the American system, but it does also have some downsides, and that would be one of them. Like in the U.S., you can't gift your seat to anyone. People can ascend to take your seat if like let's say the vice president dies, right? And the Speaker of the House has to move up to take the vice president's spot. Somebody will have to fill that seat, right? And then eventually a special election will happen for I think it's like sort of the lowest seat, essentially. Which in that specific scenario would be like the House of the House of Representatives seat that was vacated by whoever took the Speaker of the House position essentially. Does that make sense?
It does.
I mean, it's all goofy.
More
but,
sense.
Yeah.
More sense than the parliamentary setup does to me.
I mean,
But
it's
I haven't
weird.
grown up
It's
with
it's.
that,
I mean,
so.
it's insane that you could just give your seat to anybody. It's fucking wild. But you know, it is what it is. I mean, I actually, to be clear, I don't think you can just give it to Steve. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just. I know a guy down the street, and I'm just going to give it to him. I think you know, they have to be vetted within the you know, security clearances and all that bullshit. Blah blah blah.
Sphere.
Yeah. Which it would be wild if you could just give it to anybody. That would lead to some really wild outcomes because you know, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Dear God.
Would go out on a date with somebody and just give her seat away when
That's really more, I think, Bobert's thing.
when she got finger blasted out behind the dumpster of a fucking closed
Kid
Hooters.
Rock. Kid Rock would have a seat in the political.
Yeah, yeah, they'd be out finger blasting each other behind a dumpster behind a closed Hooters.
Alrighty then.
Finger
blasting.
That's right. You heard it here today.
Wasted on teenagers around the world.
Wasted on teenagers, man.
Yeah, yeah, never mind.
Us in our 40s could go for some good old fashioned.
Damn Skippy. Anyway.
Man, ain't nobody got time for that. Yeah, but this weekend was May the 4th, and as you guys know, Olivia is 6 years old now. So I felt that somebody, and it wasn't me, but somebody had promised Miss Olivia that she would get to watch a movie last night. On a Sunday, and I'm no rookie, so I did not promise a Sunday night movie because I'm not a rookie. This ain't amateur hour right over here, you know what I'm saying? And somebody promised her a movie, so we had to follow through on the promises. Otherwise, you start to lose your
street cred.
Yeah, you start to lose credibility as a parent, right? And you know, it's coincidentally May the 4th be with you, right? And I was like, you know what? She has not seen any of the Star Wars movies. Disney nowadays has some little kid versions of, like, cartoon versions of Star Wars stuff. I forget what it's called, but it's like little animated Star Wars stuff. None of it makes any sense to her because she doesn't really kind of get the what the hell's going on. And I forget what she calls it. I think she calls it lightsabers or something, or I don't know, laser swords or something. I forget what she calls it. She has a name for it, but she doesn't know that it's Star Wars, right? So, you know, I looked up the rating for A New Hope, and it was PG, right? And I was thinking, I've seen this movie 1,000 times. There's only a couple parts that are sus, right? Because there is no gore if they shoot a stormtrooper. A stormtrooper just kind of gets hit and then they fall down. Oftentimes they fall off of a cliff or something and just sort of out of shot. Which, you know, you could sort of suspend your disbelief that guy just fell. He's okay or something, you know.
Right.
And none of the main characters get shot and show you know, there's no
splatter or blood.
Yeah, there's no gore side of them getting shot. They're just freaked out about getting shot. So, but they never get shot. But there was two scenes that I was thinking about that was a problem, and that there's the cantina where the guy gets his arm shot off, and then Han Solo himself, shoots first. Although the new edits, he doesn't shoot first. What are you
All
gonna
right.
say? What are you gonna say?
Yep. We gotta don't mess with the original. Go on.
They messed with the original for kids, you know.
I know that's fair. Oh, all right.
Well, in the original one, if you watch it, Han Solo shoots him. Credo, I think, shoots him.
Yep.
He dies, and then his shot goes off into the wall. It's inverted in the new one. His shot goes into the wall, and then Han Solo shoots him. You know. Now I was kind of worried about that, but the real part I was worried about was the mutated face guy who was like, "I don't like you very much. He doesn't like you very much either." You know, and then Obi-Wan cuts his arm off, and there is like a bloody stump arm on the ground. It's really like the one gory part of A New Hope. And realistically, Olivia was like, "Oh, he cut his arm off," and I was like, "Well, he was gonna shoot him, you know. He was." I'm like, "Shit, how do I rectify? Like, how do I make heads or tails of this?" Because he did cut that guy's arm off, but you know, she's not really understanding that, and she's also not really understanding that they're like out in space. Like that doesn't seem to be registering with her all that much. She's like, "Who's that guy?" I'm like, "He's an alien. He's like it's in a galaxy far, far away, you know," but she doesn't really know what a galaxy is, so that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, she understands, like, there are stars, and there are planets, and we're around, and we're in a universe, but she doesn't get it yet. So I was trying to explain it. It's like, these are aliens, you know, and they're way, way, way far away, and, like, another planet. And she's like, "Another planet? Like, what?" You know, so either way, she's getting it. I forgot about the trash compactor scene. I don't know if you know.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
With the eyeball snake thing, the like little, and she was like, "Oh!" She was all freaking out, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is tense. We're having a tense. This is. Oh no, they might, you know." And I was forgetting that like they might get trash compacted. Like she was like, "Oh no, it's gonna squish them," you know. And so there were some moments of you know, relative excitement that I had completely forgot about that were actually exciting. I was always just kind of laughing at the idea that like he's all C-3PO, where are you? You know, when he's doing his screaming thing into the C-3PO. You know, I don't know how he does that voice. He's Mark Hamill, so who knows?
Right. Did you like it?
But overall, she was very concerned about having dreams about Star Wars. She was like, "I just watched that movie, and I'm gonna have dreams about it." And I say, "You know what? I had dreams about it when I was a kid." So I said, "I'm okay. Am I okay?" And she's, "Yeah, you're okay, Dad." And she was just excited from having watched it. So, it's the introduction. We're introducing Star Wars. You know, Vicky wanted to show her the movie with the Ewoks, and I was like, "You can't just show somebody not the first movie. What the fuck are you doing? You can't jump in the middle. You don't know what's going on. She'll have no idea what's happening. You know, C-3PO is a god in the Ewoks world. You know, and
Plus, they're surprisingly violent little shutters. So,
what's that? Star Wars?
The Ewoks, they get a little rough and tumble.
Well, I mean, that's the entirety of their existence.
I know.
I mean, they're modeled after like intelligent bears, right? I mean,
right.
And what do bears do? They just murder things with their face and claws and shit. You want to have a Joe Rogan moment here where we talk about like, do you think a gorilla bear or a gorilla or a bear would fight each other, and which one would win? You want to have that moment?
No, I do not want to have that moment.
Yeah, me neither. It's fucking
My
stupid.
IQ is low enough as it is after this weekend, so I'm good.
What'd you do this weekend?
Oh, not me. I'm thinking back to politics stuff.
Oh, was it? Did you party like it was 1999? I've been thinking about Prince ever since we talked about Las Vegas. So,
Oh, yeah.
like
I wish
it's
it was 1999.
1999.
Imagine if we could go back and knowing then what we know now, what we could fix. That would be a much different reality.
I mean, I could probably, to circle back to what we were talking about earlier, I could, back in 1999, I could probably be doing some finger blasting. You know what I'm saying? Ha ha! Yeah, it's called a callback.
That's what it was.
But if we went back in time, would I be 45 or would I be fucking 19 in 1999? Would I be
feel like this
19
is
or
the
would I be
nerd.
45? What's that?
I feel like this is the nerd version of if a gorilla and a bear were to fight each other conversation.
You brought it up, you time traveling son of a bitch.
Hey, I'm a daughter of a bitch, god damn it. No, you would not be 45. You would have the knowledge of your 45-year-old self,
Ooh.
but you would be your 1999 aged self.
Oh man. I'd be crushing then.
Right?
I said I'd be crushing then.
I know. How much would that rock?
Well, I mean, fuck. I'd be svelte like a seal, like a harbor seal.
Seal's not so svelte, but okay.
What do you know about seals?
They're very round and blubbery. That's how they stay warm.
We're talking about harbor seals here.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe more like a river otter.
There you go.
There. I feel like being an otter, like if reincarnation was real, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like coming back as an otter would be pretty good.
Pretty fun.
That'd be a good deal, I think. What do you think's the worst? Giraffe?
I don't know. I can't think that being a sloth is all that fun.
I mean, I think aren't sloths one of the intoxicated creatures?
Like perpetually stoned? I don't know.
Yeah.
Koalas are, aren't they?
Yeah, koalas are. Like, I think one of the things that they eat.
So have you ever been to Alcatraz?
Oh, they're slow because the food they eat sucks. It's not because they're high. Koalas are slow because they're high as fuck. Okay, different. Two different things. Got it. So maybe sloth, they have poor vision too, which that's not great.
See, that's no fun. No.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able, but I think you'd be vibing. I think if you were a sloth, you'd probably be vibing. They seem like they're vibing.
Well, they keep wandering into cities and getting hit by cars and shit.
Yeah, so do deer and everybody else, and coyotes and raccoons and everybody. Everybody gets hit by cars,
Including people.
and people. There was a car murder earlier on Saturday.
No.
We had to go.
Where?
We had to go out to the Muckleshoot Casino for our annual entire day of doing native. Going to the native meeting. They do a annual corporation meeting. So this is probably interesting to some people, but like down in the lower 48, we have reservations where natives can live and be a part of their native community. That's where like the native casinos come from, because it's a reservation land. They apply for a permit. Reservation land is a separate country from the United States. And so they can have a casino if they want. It's their thing. Well, but all of the tribes in Alaska don't. There's no reservations in Alaska. There's not a single one. So all of the Aleut and the Aiute and the Eskimos and everybody up there, right? I mean, how many tribes are in Alaska? There's a lot.
I would imagine.
How many tribes in Alaska? 229 federally recognized tribes in Alaska, with the exception of the Metlakatla. Metlakatla? Oh, yeah, that probably makes sense. But I think like the main... here we go. Nine major Alaska Native cultural regions. (22 Alaska Native languages. So Vicky is Aleutic, but they say Aiutic. They don't. The L is for gringos like me.
Okay.
It's Aleutic, right? Alutiq, right?
Okay.
But they don't say the L. I found that out this last weekend.
Huh.
That somebody brought it up that they were like, somebody keeps saying, people keep saying Aleutic, and it's you stop saying the L, and it was like, oh, okay, word, I'll try, although I'm dumb, so you know, so it I joke with Vicky because she's my lovely partner in life, and that she's Eskimo, but she's not because. I don't even think Eskimo is real. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, there's Eskimo, but they're way up north. They're like the Athabaskan and the in a Yupik, right? But I think Eskimo is like a gringo name, and they don't like that. So
That's what
once in a blue moon, I joke with her. Eskimo and Inuit are not the same. Inuit is a preferred term for indigenous peoples in Antarctica. Primarily in Alaska, Canada, and Greenland, while Eskimo is considered an outdated and potentially offensive term. That's right, because they're like, we don't know what you're saying when you say Eskimo. It's just something that some white dude made up or whatever, right?
only found in the movie Heathers now.
But either way, they would be really far away from. They would be really, really far away from Vicky's tribe, like.
Okay.
Like 1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. How many miles is Alaska from north to south?
Yeah.
It's far. Yeah. I don't even know how far it is. This map can't even show how many miles it is. What's the scale? I don't know. Either way, they would be really, really far away and have no contact with each other because there's like 20 different tribes in between there, and they would all probably fight on the way down and never make it to the south end. If you were wondering where Vicky's tribe was from, is if you watch that Discovery Channel show. What was it?
Alone? No.
Hold on, I gotta.
So many Discovery Channel shows, so little time.
So, here's what's funny. You know the singer Jewel, who, by the way, is just a goddamn smoke show.
Yes, she is.
Forever, and she's got the crazy dent. She's got the crazy tooth thing that gets me every time. Jewel is the daughter of Ots Kilcher, who stars in the Discovery Channel show Alaska: The Last Frontier. So if you've ever seen the Alaska: The Last Frontier show, it ran for many seasons. It follows the Kilcher family. It turns out Jewel is one of the daughters of that family, which is how that show got made, but they don't tell you until like season 4 or something, where one of the guys is like, yeah, well, you know, my daughter, she's a singer and blah, 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 right? And like,
Right.
oh, cool. Who's your daughter? Oh, Jewel.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyhow, they are close enough to where Vicky's tribe is from that we were up at a local fair. Like, you know how you have like the carnies show up and then everybody sets up their tables and they sell stuff, and you know, you pin the tail on the donkey and have some cotton candy and all that. One of the local fairs, 3 of them were there, and they were just there because there was a fair. Because there was a fair going on. Like, they weren't invited, or there was no film crew or anything like that. They were just there hanging out, like eating hot dogs and stuff, because they were like, oh, cool, I heard there was a fair. And so they drove from wherever they live. I mean, it was close enough that they could drive there. But they live like on the other side of the peninsula, so it's far to go. If you wanted to go visit the Kilchers, like, it would take you a long time to drive to the other side. But they're up there, so yeah. Anyhow, we found out the Native Corporation is doing quite well. They're divesting and doing all sorts of corporation type stuff to pass the dividends on to the tribe. If you own it, and the thing is that, like, it's organized for members of the tribe, and they own shares in it, but you can't just buy the shares. It's not like a publicly traded company, but it's run like that. So the whole tribe is part of the corporation. The corporation is doing work so that they can make money and manage the land that they own, manage properties that they own. Like, it was super funny. Like 5 years ago or something, they bought a whole bunch of liquor stores, and so there was all this outrage because people were like, the liquor has been destroying our community forever. And the guy who runs the corporation was like, I understand that this feels like a conflict of interest. We are not promoting the liquor store to anybody in the tribe. We are, in fact, going to extract as much money as possible from this business so that we can continue expanding our treatment centers, because the corporation owns like 3. They're not big treatment centers, but they own like 3 treatment centers for people in the tribe, rehabs and shit. And so, you know, it's one of those things where he's like, it's a double-edged sword. We're buying the property where the liquor stores occupy. You know, he was like, that's the investment we're making. You know, we're buying the actual store and the land, right? Like the actual building and the land. And they were like, and because we're buying all of the land is what we're buying, right? The building, the land, and because the businesses are in those buildings, he's like, we're taking ownership of those businesses also, right? And he's like, yeah, if they ever decide to not be a liquor store anymore and they turn into something else, like, we're in the business for the land and the buildings. That's what we're in it for. And so that's like sort of how they were going about extracting the money from it, is that like, look, we're, if the business makes some profit, we'll take that, but we're charging these businesses for the land and the building. Right.
Right.
But if you have shares, basically 2 times a year, they pay out the dividends from the corporation to people that own the shares, right? Which people that own the shares are the old people. You know, there's no like 19-year-old that's like, I've got 6,000 shares. Check me out. I'm driving a Ferrari, you know, like, no. And so Olivia has one. She has one share, which is essentially a I forget the name for it, but it's essentially like, hey, yeah, you are a part of this, but you don't have enough native blood in you to be considered like full native. So like we want you to be a part, but it's pretty clear that you aren't, like just look at me. I'm not I got none of the native in me, right? The native that's in my lineage is not huge, but the native that is in my lineage is like hold on. My great-great-grandma was Mayan, I believe. She was from down here. Yeah, she was indigenous from the Mayan area. But you're like, that's so far out,
Right.
It's
right.
like no one's considering that. But yeah, so Olivia has a share. It's considered like a I can't remember the name of it. They have a term for it, but it's essentially like you are in, but we're not giving you any dividends or anything like that. It's like a voting share or something like that, where it's just like, yeah, you're a part, but you're not, you're not going to be extracting a bunch of money or anything like that, or whatever, So, it's basically like a membership card. There we go. Is that what kind of way to put it? Like you're in the club, but you're not running the club.
You're not a VIP. You're just a member.
But it's like Vicky's grandma, or Vicky's grandma owned a ton of shares, and they get passed down. That's the only way to get them.
Cool.
But turns out the corporation's doing really well. They're making money, and the CEO is actually retiring, so it was actually kind of a big year. And Vicky is running for the board, so we'll see if if Vicky makes it on the board. We'll see. I don't know.
Interesting. All right.
There's some other candidate. There's this when it comes to the politics, there's very much like a sort of high school politics kind of situation with certain things going on, where it's like, oh, it's that family again, because some of the families are successful, some of them have problems, they all have arguments with each other, so there's a lot of gossip and stuff like that. So, and one of the downsides, one of the big downsides is that they want people to live like up in Port Lions, which I'm not even sure. Hold on. Port Lions' current population is 165 people.
Ooh, booming.
Which is rough. That's not enough people.
No. Not me.
In 2000, their population was 256.
Uh-oh.
In 2010, it was in 2010 it was 194.
Oh, okay.
In 2023, it's 196. It's trending downward from not a lot to even less.
Yeah.
But Port Lions, Alaska, is technically her. That is the stomping ground, and what do we got? Look at it on the map here. Where's the map? What?
Would you be considering relocation?
God. The 2023 employed population. Do you know how many people it is?
5.
Well, it's 70.
Only...
70.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm obviously not an optimist, so don't mind me.
Sorry, on the census here, it says that the 2023 population is actually 151. But that's 21.8% 1 year growth. I don't know how that fucking works. I guess maybe somebody moved there. I don't know. Lisa Murkowski is their senator. Dan Sullivan is their other senator. We want to go. We got to find the map.
Okie dokie.
Because I have to find the map because I can't figure it out without a map. Yeah, okay, here we go. I'm going to show you guys on the map here. Add source. Okay, so if you look at the map here, and I'll zoom in here in just a second, Port Lions is right here. It's this little area in this inlet right here that comes onto the island of Kodiak. I don't know if you guys are familiar with one of the issues with the island of Kodiak. Is it has one of the biggest fucking bear populations in the fucking world. It's out of control. But we are, I think next year we're going to Kodiak. Or maybe this year. I don't know. We're supposed to go to Kodiak again. But when Alaska had a big giant earthquake, this shook around like this, earthquake style, okay? And when it did that, the water, I believe this was 1962 or 72, I don't know, it's quite a while back. This water in between here went sloshing around, and a goddamn tsunami came over here and wiped out Port Lions.
Oh, no.
Is a big problem. Is a big problem, and it's why the population is even so much lower than it's supposed to be, because the tsunami wiped out this whole area, and they've been slowly trying to do their best to rebuild and get things back over the last 60 years, however long it's been. But they want people to live here, right? And this is just, it's very remote. You have to get here from a ferry that either comes from Homer, or I don't know, where the fuck does this one go? Oh, that's the Unalaska one. So this ferry boat comes from all the way over here. Like, it goes all the way out, and who even fucking knows where it goes? It goes a million miles away. We have to zoom way out to figure out where that boat goes. Who knows where it goes? But if you zoom way out here, this right here is the Kenai Peninsula. So Anchorage is up here at the top of the Kenai Peninsula. And I'm going to give you an idea here, okay? Anchorage is right here. And when we go up to visit, we go here, we fly into Anchorage, and we land, right? And then we drive down this road down to Homer, which is right down here. And this takes approximately 5 hours of driving at 70 miles an hour.
A lot of time.
Right. So a lot of times we fly into Anchorage, and then we get on a plane that goes down here to Soldotna.
Okay.
And this takes about 40 minutes in an airplane. You fly from here to here. And then you can go down. You can go to Castle Off and Clam Gulch and Nilchik and Happy Valley and Anchor Point and go down to all this stuff. Those Kilcher guys, they live way over here on this side. Lowell Point, I think. Somewhere over here. I think all their crap is somewhere over here. I don't know. But if you go down here, this is Kodiak Island. This is where Vicky's tribe is from. Down here.
Bears.
And then they would go back and forth to the Kenai. And then there was a whole lot of them living up here in the Kenai. I don't know why people would go to this island. maybe to stab bears or something. I don't know. I don't know why they were down there, but you know, one of the things that you start to realize, like when you're up in Alaska, is just how freakishly big it is. It is fucking big. Everything's really far away. And if you were looking for, so if Vicky's tribe is from down here, which actually it is this big area, the Walsella, Palmer, like Vicky has a bunch of family named Palmer after Palmer, right? So this whole area down here, which is the Chugach National Forest, and it is it's fucking beautiful. It's huge. It's so big. Now you go all the way up here, up here. This is where the Inuit lived, and there's just no way. There's just no way that you're coming down here. You're just not doing that, and that's why they all had different languages and shit. Because it's like if you lived over here, which I've yet to go out to the Bering Land Bridge and this shit over here, which I do really, really, really want to go here sometime. But man, it's an endeavor. But you just really aren't. You really weren't gonna make it. You know, if you're up here and you're like, oh, I want to go down to the bottom down here, you have to go through this mountain range. Just this mountain range right here is gonna kill you for sure.
Yeah. It's
like it's monumental. And then like let's say you get through this air quote flat area through here, which is not flat by the way, but let's call it flat. Let's say you get through the middle here, which is I don't even know how many hundreds of miles. Lots. I don't know. Lots of miles. Muchas. Okay. Let's say you got through all of that. Then now you got to go through Denali and all this shit. And by the way, this fucking Denali is just mind-blowing when you see this. You generally would just probably just start peeing a little bit, you know, when you see how epic Denali is and whatnot. And I definitely wanted to climb it, but people said, like, you're not even prepared. And I was like, fuck you, I'm going up there. And so I did. So I ran up to the top real quick, high-fived myself, and I ran back down.
There you go.
Yeah.
How'd that work out? Were you prepared?
No, I died, but I'm back now.
Good
but
job.
As you can see, like Fairbanks is way up here. Here's where my cousin lives. He lives up here.
Okay.
And whenever we come up here, down here, he's like, hey, why don't you come up and visit? However fucking million miles this is. Away. Just around the corner, all right.
Right. You made it this far.
Yeah. And then I'll just be eaten by polar bears instead of fucking grizzly bears, you know? Although I did see a video the other day and I just had to comment. I couldn't help myself. So I left a comment that somebody was like, they were talking about how, oh, remember when Al Gore said that all the fucking polar bears are going to die and he was full of shit and he got all the money from those, the green people, you know, the conspiracy of climate change. And I just was like, a lot of polar bears died, but also a lot of bears are just moving south, the polar bears, and they're mating with grizzly bears. And they are.
And that's not a
and
good
by the
combo.
by the way, for a long time, they thought there was this guy who has a stuffed growler bear. They call it a growler bear, right?
Okay.
And he had claimed for a long time it was a growler bear. I shot it and stuffed it. And there was a lot of people
thought he was faking it.
They thought he was faking it. They thought he was full of shit. They were like, this guy, he's pulling some fucking bullshit. Until some scientists came out and tested the DNA off the stuffed bear. And they were like, holy shit, it has polar bear and grizzly bear DNA. Fuck, they are mating. Now, they're not super, super common, okay, yet. But as the climate changes, we will see more of this fucking insane beast right here, which is all of the downsides of a grizzly bear and all of the downsides of a polar bear stuffed into one gigantic fucking meat-eating package, right?
Yep.
They are apparently crazed. They don't even do any of the grizzly bear stuff where they eat berries and shit like that. They're like, nope, I'm carnivore. And so I have all of the power of a grizzly bear and the power of fucking polar bear. We combined the two and didn't even want to eat berries or nothing. So they're just going straight to. They have the attitude of a polar bear and all of the girth and magnitude of a grizzly bear combined into two, and they just murder everything that they can find. And you're like, oh great, that sounds good. Let's do more of that, guys. Yeah.
Cocaine bear without the cocaine.
But yeah, I mean the cocaine bear is basically they're writing a comedy movie about growler bears essentially, right?
Yep.
So I'm like, you go, okay, well, maybe you think global warming is bullshit, but it turns out that like because of global warming, the polar bears have started migrating and they're breeding with another bear, and this is even a worse effect than you had thought. Right? That like, oh, the polar bears are going all extinct. And you're like, no, they're not going extinct. Now they're just more murderous and ready to
and bigger.
Be in the woods murdering more,
Yeah.
Where's that video with the hold on.
The guy on the ATF or the ATV running away from the polar bear? That one was hilarious. He got very lucky.
Oh no, here it is.
Because they're fast. People don't realize that 600 pounds is pretty fucking quick.
This doesn't seem to have any. This doesn't seem to currently have audio for some. Oh, my audio is silenced. But this video right here is fucking so funny.
Seriously?
Oh my god.
Did you catch what that was? Well, I'll watch it again.
When a bear kills a moose during your wedding.
Delay.
So the photographer is like, oh my god, because they're having a wedding on the beach in Alaska, and a bear is murdering a moose in the background, like right across the water there. And you're like,
how funny.
Oh, how quaint. They're like, we're gonna have our wedding vows in Alaska, and it's gonna be so peaceable and blah blah blah. And there's like a bear just chewing up a fucking live moose in the background.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
It just gives you an idea that like, hey motherfuckers, maybe you shouldn't be doing this on the beach right now because there's potentially something that wants to eat all of your faces off right now.
By the way, you're not in Hawaii.
Yeah, go have a wedding in Hawaii. That's so much better. You do it on the beach. My mom and her husband, that is what they did. They got married in Hawaii.
Guarantee you there will not be a bear moose killing during your wedding in Hawaii.
I mean, 99.9, right?
Yeah.
You can't give you 100%.
True. Might be a shark attack, but
Well, there might be man bear shark. Man bear shark might be there,
Ooh, Sharknado.
Oh, or a shark tornado. That might happen. Man, chat has been fucking so quiet today, and people actually asked some fish questions today, which is wild. I'm glad to see it. Love to see it. Love to see it when the fish people show up and they go, yeah, Donald Trump's a piece of shit, and I want to know what's up with my light. Not to say that you agreed or disagreed. I'm just saying.
Can I still afford my light?
I just gotta say that, like, to cue back to what I was saying earlier, like, I really feel like we have reached DEFCON whatever the most dangerous one. Did we figure out, is it 1? Yeah, 1.
It was 1. It was 1, yes.
1. We've reached DEFCON 1 because my dad is protesting. Like,
yeah, that's Now, when he drags the
You don't.
Republican uncle out, then we'll know. That
Yeah, I mean, you
the
don't.
apocalypse
That's what I'm
is
saying. That's what he's doing, and I'm like, You have no idea that like my jaw was on the floor. I had to pick myself up. I think I passed out. I got woozy and passed out.
That's good.
Well, look,
See,
man.
they're
To be clear here, I'm not shocked that my dad is opposed to Nazis taking over the United States. Like, what, like that's not the shocker. The shocker is that he's paying attention. He's gathered information, and he's like, his own opinion, like on his own, has been like, wait, this is fucked. What are you doing to my country that I literally watched people die to protect, and people's rights, you know what I mean? And I honestly think it's the due process thing, right? Is that, my dad and I also, we both like wholeheartedly agree with the U.S. Constitution and the rights granted therein and the amendments. And I personally think that there should have been more amendments by now. Like, I honestly think that process is there for a reason, and it should be solidifying people's rights, and we should be doing that. I do realize that, like, monocle wearing fucking freaks back in the day realized that the amendments were granting rights to our fellow humans, and they didn't like that, and they did everything in their power to make it more difficult for amendments to be passed so that they could continue to be racist, misogynist fucking maniacs, right? And those people had those people like understood who they were, right? Like they it's not like they didn't have a conscious existence. Like they understood that they were being pieces of shit. They knew it, and they wanted that power. And we have those people still exist on the planet now, right? There's virtually zero difference from somebody that lived 150 years ago to somebody who lives now. They're, same intelligence, all that stuff. We're just taller now than we were because we're not malnourished as they were. But those people knew, and they literally sat down and had meetings about like, how do we restrict this as much as humanly possible? Because the last thing that we want is women to vote, or black people to vote, or
natives to vote,
or poor people to vote.
Right.
Like that. I mean, that's even the crazier thing is that like they were. It's like their racism went to a level that is even like incalculable at this point, because like they were racist against other white people because they didn't own land, right? Right. It was like you can't vote if you're not a landowner, right? And it's like, wait, if you don't have money already, then you can't vote. Like, what?
A number of white races came here as slaves.
Well, it's because being white is just an invention. It's just something that's made up.
Exactly.
It's not a real thing. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah. And we're busily trying to bring back indentured slavery. So,
we're not bringing it back. We're not bringing it back. We brought it back. I mean, it's never gone anywhere.
Fair.
It's just in Asia, and it's also in the United States, right? Like, I mean, people were playing the long game through the 70s and 80s where they shipped jobs overseas. They broke unions over and over again. They literally went to wage war against pensions, right?
Yep.
Purposefully. They purposefully did that. Like 401ks weren't a thing before, right? And no, they purposefully did all that shit, and they knew what they were doing too. They had awareness. They had self-awareness of knowing that like this is what I'm doing, and this is why I'm doing it. Right? As simple as that. But ultimately, to my point is that like me and my dad believe wholeheartedly that the Constitution is incredibly important, and upholding the rights that we're supposed to have as prescribed in that Constitution should not only be 100% protected, they should be expanded upon, right? The idea that
it's a living document.
Yeah, it's a living document, but the idea that like just because somebody doesn't have a lot of resources means that they're not allowed to have representation is patently insane. And that thought is, the thought that you're going to deprive a poor person from their representation is only malicious, right? Like you only have malicious intent,
Right.
to regularly like scapegoat the poor people, which by the way is vastly the majority of the United States by far and away, and if you want to go listen to Bernie Sanders, who by the way has been talking about it for fucking 60 years now, that
yes,
they are extracting the wealth and they're putting it into the few, like it's not even we're the 99% anymore. Like we're the 99.6% or some shit. It's crazy.
Yep.
And I don't think that a lot of Americans are actively understanding that. And one of the big reasons for that is the flip from like living is expensive and luxuries are cheap now.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that was purposefully promoted by a group of people, right? A group of people influencing the powers that be put us on this track. And I just keep saying on purpose, but I can't think of another word for on purpose, but
Right.
they purposefully
Intentionally.
they intentionally put us on this track to lead us to this point, right? These Heritage Foundation people have been working on this shit for 40 plus years, right? Just as one of the examples of the group that you could go look up right now. They're heavily involved in the Trump campaign, heavily involved in the Trump administration. They put us on this track on purpose, right? Intentionally put us in this direction so that we would end up here to lead us to another Great Depression.
So they can swoop in and
it's been the plan all along, because these people
everything.
Well, these people grew up being jealous of the Carnegies, of the Rockefellers, of
Vanderbilts, the
Vanderbilts,
Astons.
yeah, I mean, all these oligarchs that took everything before and created the Great Depression the last time, right?
Yep.
And their idea, it's one of the reasons why they would call themselves the Heritage Foundation, is to create a legacy that will last another 200 years of directly owning everything for their family, and a legacy that will be able to oppress the rest of the planet for the next 100 years. It is their goal. It is the point of all of this shit. And I'm really worried about what is essentially going to end up being called a civil war, and it won't actually be a civil war. It's going to be poor people that are starving to death, acting irrationally, and they're going to get oppressed or suppressed by likely a larger military force. And I don't know how many people are going to lose their lives to this, but it is going to be, in my opinion, probably far more dramatic than
any war to date on our soil.
Than it needs to be, or should be, or by any measure it's required to be. I mean, you go on TV and they're talking about bringing back manufacturing to the United States. Yeah. We are at a technological point that bringing manufacturing back to the United States is bringing a building that robots work in. Right? By building a building that robots work in, they don't even have lights on. And if you don't believe me, you can just go look up Dark warehouse, China. We don't need the sound.
We do need the thunder.
We do need it to repeat. If you want to see what these dark factories look like, they look like this. These are the factory lines that they want to bring to the United States. They're just machines that build things. There's no lights in these warehouses because machines don't need lights. They're operating through infrared. They don't need lights to operate. Why would you turn lights on and spend money on it? You heard Donald Trump shrieking in a news interview yesterday that energy is the only thing that matters. Energy is the most important thing. We need the energy. We need the energy. We need the energy. And his brain-rotted old mind is translating a very complex report that he probably read from the powers that are manipulating him and the rest of the administration into, we need energy in order to power our industrial plant that has no humans working at it. That's why he keeps saying that energy is the most important thing. It has nothing to do with the gasoline going in your car, no matter how much he lies about how low the prices are now. It has everything to do with powering these plants that are going to build all of the things that the rich oligarchs are going to use in what they envision as the future world. Right?
And the huge amount of power needed to run the AI to run said robots.
Well, you don't really need power to run the AI. You need power to build these things.
They say that the AI uses huge reservoirs of power.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. So does YouTube. I mean, the reality that they're talking about that like AI uses a lot of power, it's because it's using a big server farm. And we know that server farms use a lot of power. I mean, it's not...
That's my point. But yeah.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is that like you don't require that, because once the code is dialed down to doing something that is not creating feature films for people to watch, like you won't need that, you know. But what you will need the power for is to operate machinery.
Yep.
You will need that, whether you like it or not. There isn't any level of efficiency that will a machine just runs with no power. So, but either way, we're at it's 4:10. So we got to get done. So all the pot smokers that watch the live stream will be able to go blaze it up for 420.
The koala bears.
To koala bears. Cheers to the koala bears, and cheers to me being sober yet another day. 4,011 days now. It's wonderful, and you could get sober. You don't have to smoke pot. I'm just making a joke about 420 because it's 410. But if you guys want, I've mentioned this before. There's only 20 people watching right now, so I'm sure you've all heard it a million times before. If you want to become a patron, we very much appreciate it. If you want to become a member on YouTube, we very much appreciate it. You can do either one of those, and you get to join up into our Discord, and you could call in just like Witchy Cat, and you could yell at me all you want. To those of you out there that have occasionally requested more content from me and whatnot, this is the way to do it. If it gets funded, I'll do it. I don't have any Russian oligarchs backing me up. I think we lost signal.
Nope.
Oh, maybe not. It was just lost over here for a minute. I don't have any Russian oligarchs sending me $5 million checks like Tim Pool. I don't have any Russian oligarchs funneling me cash like a lot of the other crazy conservative YouTube creators and whatnot. because I'm a leftist guy. There isn't anybody beating down my door to try and, try and convince the public that social democratic policies are realistically and with evidence shown to be the most positive for society. There's nobody beating down my door to fund that. So it really does come down to, if people really want to see a lot of content out of me, I will be happy to do it if I can afford to do it. Otherwise, I will be out on job sites doing what I have to do. Fixing people's houses, and this last week I did a bunch of drywall work. I painted the exterior of a building, which is not done yet because it was threatening to rain on me, so I had to stop.
I was going to ask, did you scaffold or ladder?
I laddered at the beginning, and then I was going to rent a scissor lift, and the prices for renting a scissor lift, I would get to use their scissor lift and give it back, so I just ended up buying scaffolding, and then we'll either absorb it into the business or sell it on Craigslist or something. So yeah, it's been a mix of ladder and scaffold, but we have the scaffolding now, so I'll just continue on until it's done and I'm not being rained on. So
good luck with that.
Yeah, it's just doing the work. That's all.
Sure.
You just do it, and then when it's done, and you're like, okay, we're gonna go do something else now.
Next thing.
But yeah, I mean, if I'm super optimistic, this job has 2 weeks on it. If I'm super realistic, it's probably 3, but yeah, we're moving right along. So either way.
Awesome.
Okay, back to the waiting screen.